So time then for the press preview. It is our first look at tomorrow's front pages, and over the next 20 minutes or so we'll see what's making the headlines with the broadcaster and political commentator Matthew Stadlen and the broadcaster and psychotherapist Lucy Beresford, both of them waiting for cards from the King and Queen, I think, probably. It's got to be a matter of days before that arrives on their front doorsteps.
Was that a rhododendron I saw? It looked quite a summary, didn't it? You said it was taken earlier this year.
In Rome.
In Rome.
Let's take a look at the front pages, shall we? On the front of The Observer, a full-page photo of a defiant Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, declaring he is prepared to fight on. But the Labour leader could face a big blow with the party's biggest union backer, Unite, who are saying that they are considering a historic vote on splitting from the party, according to The Telegraph. On to The Express, featuring an exclusive report that reveals dozens of foreign nationals are having to be constantly monitored because human rights laws are preventing their deportations, despite being linked to terrorism or extremism. That is on the front of The Express. Let's have a look at the Sunday Times. Justice Secretary David Lammy has been accused by senior barristers of misrepresenting figures about the number of rape cases that collapse in an attempt to push through the abolition of half of all jury trials. Sliding in the Mirror next, claiming that COVID schemes rushed out by Boris Johnson's Conservative government cost British taxpayers nearly £11 billion in fraud. The Mail next has an exclusive interview with Meghan Markle's father, Thomas, who sent a hospital bed plea to his daughter for them to see each other once again. And Prince William has boosted the Daily Star's campaign to award former rugby league star Kevin Sinfield a knighthood as the Star tackles 7 ultra marathons in 7 days. Quite remarkable, doing that for motor neurone disease. And The Sun has an exclusive interview with I'm a Celebrity evictee Jack Osborne, who says his father, Ozzy, would have struggled with Bush Tucker trials despite the rock star's notorious ways. And we're joined tonight by Matthew Stadlen and Lucy Beresford. Great to see you both this evening. Thank you very much for joining us. And we're going to start with that remarkable photograph, actually, isn't it? It's a great picture on the front of The Observer. The headline, quite simply, Lucy, is gloves off.
Well, it is a striking photo, but lots of black and white photos are quite striking. I don't think it would have had the same potency if it was in colour. But it is a very weird front page because it feels quite stage managed. He's got the sort of Tony Blair grip where the thumb is flat on top of the fist. And then there are what appear to be, in my world of psychology, these are like affirmations that you would have stuck on your bathroom mirror or on your fridge, just saying, I love the job, I love the job, I love the job. The greens are nuts. And they're meant to try to tease you in to think, oh, I wonder what Keir Starmer has to say. But the problem is, I don't think very many people do want to know what Keir Starmer has to say anymore. The polls are really bad for him individually. They're pretty poor for Labour anyway, but they're, in terms of his leadership, they are very shaky. And in fact, a very recent poll in the last 48 hours showed Kemi Badenoch actually doing much better in terms of net approval rating.
I wouldn't say much better, Lucy.
Well, from a very low bar, let's put it that way. But she's minus 21 and he's minus 70. But he's the man who's getting most of the publicity. So again, it's a really interesting framing. And when it reminds me of that moment where they won many years ago when the advisors of Ed Miliband wanted him to come across as really tough, and he was advised to give an answer to a question that was hell yeah. And this sort of feels exactly the same. It's like I'm trying to look butch and tough and like I'm in charge, and everybody knows that it's all unravelling.
And of course, it's very hard because we haven't read the interview or seen the full inside pages. All we've got to go on is the front page, but presumably he puts a case forward.
It is an arresting front page, but several things strike me. One is, if Starmer is attempting another reset or a mini reset as we head into the festive period, why is he doing this on the front page of The Observer? And it suggests to me that he's trying to win over people on the left, and we know that Labour is hemorrhaging voters at the moment on the left, so perhaps that's sensible. But he needs to reach far further than that. And if you're doing a big set-piece interview, you might think it would be better in a more prominent newspaper. There's no criticism of The Observer. I'm really pleased to see its relaunch and so forth, but I worry about the comms. Also, my wife, I'm sort of centre-left, left-leaning. I'm sure some people will think I'm far further left than that. I'm not, but I'm married to a dyed-in-the-wool Tory. And one thing she insists on is that I wear a tie, because the idea is that lefties are supposed to be a bit scruffy, and so I wear a tie when I'm advancing my arguments. Why is the Prime Minister not wearing a tie? But more seriously, it's not just gloves off, it's tie off. But more seriously, the thing that struck me, apart from Rayner's coming back, and we've heard Keir Starmer recently saying he wants the former Deputy Prime Minister to come back. She's been spending some time in purgatory after not paying £40,000 of tax that she should have done. The thing that struck me is, if you are trying to convince the country that you are a united government and that you can lead the country forward and that your party isn't struggling, as the polls suggest, why is one of the headlines here, reform is tearing us apart? And one of the major issues that this government has had is poor comms. And I worry that this particular interview is going to not disabuse us of that notion.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, it may not help in the way that he would want, which leads us very nicely, Lucy, doesn't it, onto the front of the Sunday Telegraph, because Union eyes Labour exit over Starmer. This is all about Unite, isn't it, considering breaking away from the party?
Yes, Sharon Graham, the Unite boss, has spent quite a lot of time actually distancing herself from Keir Starmer. And there are rumours that they are going to vote to break with this party because they are so frustrated with Keir Starmer. So again, you would assume the Unite union members would be natural bedfellows for a Labour Party leader, and it is just simply not the case. They feel very disillusioned by him. They feel very let down. But there is also an interesting thing, which is that they had talked about how disillusioned they were, but let's see what the budget is like. And what this is clearly saying is that they obviously weren't that impressed with the budget, because Sharon Graham has, in a way, her attack is really quite blistering in terms of how they still feel that they are that the Labour Party are pandering still, not to health workers, drivers, the sort of the people who would be natural supporters for Labour.
Working people.
And working people. But then her criticism is of city bankers and the billionaires, and she feels that the Labour Party is still pandering to them.
What I found fascinating about this, I mean, this is a big story because were Unite to split from Labour, that is massively significant. This is their biggest, I think, single donor. What does that say about the state of this government just a year and a half in? But it's also interesting that despite the budget throwing quite a bit of red meat to Labour MPs, so scrapping the 2-child benefit cap, which personally I think is a good thing, and then also a mansion tax, despite that, Sharon Graham's response to the budget, or part of it, was that the Chancellor has picked a side, she said. I think you were intimating at this. Health workers, engineers and tanker drivers will pay through stealth taxes, while city bankers and billionaires go largely unscathed. And the stealth taxes, I think she's referring to, is that the freezing of the income tax bands, which are often called stealth taxes. So despite Labour MPs, I think, being a bit happier with things after the budget, a major backer of Labour is not.
But it goes back to what we were saying about the communications and what Sharon Graham is refusing to acknowledge is the fact that actually billionaires and millionaires, they still pay they pay more than their fair share. You know, the top 1% of taxpayers pays 29% of all income tax revenue. So it isn't that the government are leaving those people alone, but the government is not getting that message out there.
It's not getting that message across. And we've only got 30 seconds left, Matt, to tell us about what happened at the Tower of London, which is sort of linked to that.
Yes, this is tax-rich activists allegedly vandalising the crown jewels with crumble and custard in an, inverted commas, disgraceful protest at the Tower of London yesterday.
Yeah, made quite a mess. They'll get their just desserts, though. That's the main thing to say.
Very good.
Thank you both very much for the moment. Coming up after the break, among the stories we'll be discussing is this. It's on the front of the Mail on Sunday. It's headline, Dad's plea to Meghan. See me one more time before I go. We'll be discussing that and plenty more after this short break.
best thing about being a Sky News journalist?
I'm going to take you behind the scenes here for Election Night Live. They have gone up and up.
Being a Sky News journalist.
Ed Conway, Sky News. Is anyone going to talk to us? Mortgage rates did go up very sharply during your time in office. Here it is.
First off, just the scale of what we're looking at.
Our data shows it's been happening. Question is, why it hasn't been stopped.
I'm Deborah Haynes, Sky Security and Defence Editor.
The reality of life under Russian fire.
People don't want to leave, even though help is here to evacuate them. They say they want to sort out their belongings first. It's absolute chaos.
Fire, shouts the commander. There's a dash to safety as Russian drones will be trying to find this position.
We've now got to wait inside the shelter to see if there is incoming. I've been covering Russia's full-scale war since it began, witnessing the terror and the trauma.
When rockets fall, I try to hide my head under my toys.
Illustrating Ukraine's lost childhood. Hopes and dreams framed by war.
Conflict in the Middle East is another major focus.
An incredibly dangerous moment.
We saw the missiles streaking across the sky. We saw the intercept going up, and then we saw the explosions when the intercepts were successful. With global threats rising, I also explored defence and security in the UK and across NATO.
This US aircraft carrier is operating in European waters in a deliberate show of force.
This is routine training for NATO, but should Russia's war with Ukraine escalate significantly, pilots like these could be called upon to go into combat for real.
Tucked away in the National Archives are some of the UK's old defence plans.
The scale of this bunker underlines how seriously governments took the threat of nuclear attack and global conflict. Should allies listen to Vladimir Putin's sabre-rattling?
No, they shouldn't, and they don't.
Sky News, the full story first.
What might happen if Russia attacked the UK?
This is clearly an enormous show of force.
It is definitely out of the ordinary.
We ran a war game with former ministers back in the hot seat.
Ben Wallace.
Amber Rudd.
Jack Straw.
It's the kind of war game that's genuinely tested inside government.
The Russians are signalling that there may be an attack.
Russia knows our weaknesses, but do you? I'm Deborah Haynes. From Sky News and Tortoise, this is The War Game. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
We are under Israeli military restrictions in terms of some of the things that we can film, but it's important to be in there. What a slow drive for the president as he approaches his golf club. 4 more years! Free wherever you get your news. I'm Mark Stone and I'm Sky's correspondent based here in Washington, D.C.
Hello again. Just want to bring you some breaking news from Goa about a major fire that's taken place there. 23 people are known to have died so far. We have heard from the Chief Minister of Goa, who has put a statement on social media saying today is a very painful day for all of us in Goa. A major fire incident at Apora has taken the lives of 23 people. He goes on to say, I'm deeply grieved and offer my heartfelt condolences to all the bereaved families in this hour of unimaginable loss. He goes on to say that he has been to the site. There will be an investigation into the cause of the fire and also whether fire safety norms and building rules were followed. Those found responsible will face the most stringent action under the law. We don't know what building was involved. In fact, that's all the information we have at the moment. We'll keep across that for you. 23 people known to have died in a major fire in Goa. Time for part 2 of the press preview. Still with me in the studio, broadcaster and political commentator Matthew Stadlin and broadcaster and psychotherapist Lucy Beresford. Good to see you both again. Lucy, let's have a look at the front of the Mail on Sunday. And this is Meghan Markle's father making a plea to her.
Yes, and the reason why I really wanted to talk about it is because I just think it's a rather odd front page, because it's not really a story. We know that the Duchess of Sussex is meant to have reached out to him, reached out to her father. They have been estranged for quite some time. The Mail and the Mail on Sunday are notoriously anti-Meghan, it has to be said. So the idea of framing this story is very much about, gosh, how could you not want to go and see your father, who's just had his leg amputated below the knee? And I guess, you know, in the run-up to Christmas, people's minds think about family reunions and whether families are estranged or there are feuds. So it kind of plays into that slightly seasonal story of, are people getting along? But I just don't see why it has to be on the front page, because in effect it should be a private relationship that gets sorted out, not splashed across the front pages.
Yeah, I mean, he has been in the news a great deal, hasn't he? His relationship with Meghan Markle has been splashed across the papers over the last few years. And it's an interesting day, actually, because all the front pages are different, which sort of shows that we are almost getting into that season now, aren't we, as we head towards Christmas?
There's a bit of a theme of Labour in trouble. We've touched on some of them. I'm sure we'll return to that with the Sunday Times in the next hour. I mean, I was able to read some of this piece online, I think, earlier, and apparently the Duchess of Sussex hasn't actually yet reached out to her father, according, I think, to the hospital and the journalist in question. I think Caroline Graham was given permission by Thomas Merkel to speak to the hospital. But I think this does feel to me like a very private story. He's clearly given permission, so in a sense, I suppose it's his right to talk about it. The only thing I would say is that families at Christmas are brought into sharp relief, as you say, and so we often learn more about ourselves, don't we, through the experience of famous people. You could go back to Shakespeare or to the Greek tragedies, and these days, through celebrity and royalty, we sometimes then reflect on our own lives.
Yeah, we do. Just very quickly, Matt, Daily Star, tell me what the headline is here, because it's a remarkable thing, isn't it, that is happening?
That this is a great example of celebrity at its very best. We're talking about Kevin Sinfield, who many think should already have been knighted.
Yeah.
The Daily Star have a campaign to get him his knighthood. Prince William has now, according to the Star, boosted this campaign by saying he's an inspiring figure. I mean, we didn't actually need Prince William to tell us that, because it's obvious he is running 7 ultramarathons. He's already done unbelievable things to raise awareness for motor neuron disease, that terrible, terrible disease that we know Lewis Moody, a former England rugby union captain, now has. And we all desperately want there to be a cure, because it is a terrible spectre hanging over a lot of contact sport. Yeah. We don't know for certain, I think, that there's a link, but I think the suggestion is that there is.
Yeah, 7 ultramarathons, quite incredible. And from ultramarathons to the cricket, Lucy.
Yes, from sporting heroes to perhaps not quite such sporting heroes.
Gosh.
But
Early
they could
days,
pull
though,
it back.
isn't it?
They could pull it back. So, yes, we've already lost the first test. We are doing shambolically in the second test. There are so many reasons as to why it might be. My own personal theory is that the incredible Baz game that they have initiated has just been very easily read by the Australians, and obviously the Australians are on home turf, so they understand their wickets and the pitch conditions. But at the same time, it does rather feel like we only have one game in town at the moment, and that's quite a dangerous way to go into a 5-test series.
Lucy and I both love cricket. What's so particularly disappointing about this is that there was some hope before this series.
Hope or hype?
Well, as an England fan, I try to abandon all hope in advance because I know how much more painful it is when you do hope. But I don't agree with much that Nigel Farage stands for, but I bumped into him in a green room the other day and we both agreed you should not write off Ben Stokes. That was before this latest shambles. But we both think that even if we do, when we lose this second test match in no doubt a few hours, we could still pull it around and win 3-2.
Yeah, bloodbath at the let's hope so. Bloodbath at the Gabbatoir is how
great headline.
The Sunday Times calls it. Thank you both very much. Coming up next on Sky News at 11, FIFA announces the dates, cities and venues for matches of next year's World Cup.